So obviously domain 1 has to do with cloud concepts, right? That's what we're going to do in quiz 1. Domain 2 has to do with the architecture of Azure and the services offered in Azure. That's what we'll do with quiz number 2 before we take our break. Okay. So again, we all understand domain 1 was broken down into 3 sections: cloud computing, the benefits of using cloud services, and the cloud service types. So the questions you see cover that section. When we go to domain 2, the questions you see will cover 4 parts within section 2 or domain 2, which have to do with the architecture components, computer network services, storage services, identity and access management. So let's jump into domain 1 quiz again. So what you need to do is click on that link. If you're on the classroom, it's going to open the quiz. So you need to enter your email address so that you get a copy of the quiz of your answers and so on and so forth. So all of this adds up to, if you scroll down, maybe take a look at the entire quiz before you start answering, so you have an idea. That's 1 point, 1 point, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 points. And then after that, you submit it. So it's not that tough of a quiz, right? But let's go ahead and try to answer the questions one after the other. Okay. So again, domain 1 for AZ-900 exam covers these 3 sections for cloud concepts. So let's copy this and use that. Oopsie, forgot to copy. So enter your email. Let's try to answer these questions. So first, you'll notice that they always paint a scenario for you. They're going to tell you this is going on, this is your company, you're working for this company, do something about a decision that has to be made. So that's what's going to be happening each time you see a multiple choice question. So here you have been tasked to investigate the types of models for the cloud. Which cloud model is totally owned by the cloud service provider? So what do you guys think?
Public cloud.
Public cloud? Okay, let's try public cloud. It says it's totally owned by the cloud service provider. And I think it's correct because you're just renting it, right? When you use hybrid, hybrid is a combination of public and private. So that's an easy one. All right. Your company needs to increase or decrease resources for a workload. You need to provide additional resources to service a workload and add additional capabilities to manage an increase in demand to the existing resource. So you have to make it capable to increase the resources when the demand also increases. The provision of additional resources does not have to be done automatically. So you don't want to do it automatically. Which cloud feature is needed in this scenario? Your volume is a little bit low. So we can go by process of elimination, right? What do we need to make sure that additional resources can be added?
Scalability.
Scalability sounds good. There's also agility. Agility is for it to be fast. Fault tolerance is so that if it goes down, it can still be functional from somewhere else. Elasticity might be a right answer, but remember that they said it does not have to be done automatically.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to say because this scalability also is automatically, right?
Scalability, you have to do it manually. You can go ahead and increase it, set it to increase manually. But elasticity is when you do it automatically. So think about the example again I gave of if you're wearing a belt, the belt has belt holes. Each time you eat a lot or you drank more, you might use your belt holes to readjust your belt. That's manually scaling your belt. But if you're wearing those elastic pants or elastic trousers, you don't need to have to change your belt size or anything. The elastic trousers or pants adjust themselves. So that's elasticity. Okay. So that's why it's done automatically. All right, next up, your company hosts a website. Due to web traffic spikes that were caused by advertisements, which typically run for 3 days, the company has overpurchased capacity in advance to running ads for the next month. Which benefit of Azure Cloud Services provides or supports cost management for this type of usage pattern? So A, B, C, or D. So high latency, latency has to do with the speed, the network speed. Elasticity, we just talked about this. Load balancing, think again of there's a line going to check out stuff in a store. If you have only one person checking out, then the line is going to be long. But if you have multiple people checking out, you go to the next available line, then you're balancing the load. High availability again to make sure that if one area goes down, the other area can back you up and so on. So you're always having, should I say, service levels are agreeable. But the question here is, which Azure benefit supports cost management for this type of pattern? And what's the pattern? When there's traffic spikes. So think about traffic spikes. There are more people coming into the store, then you're going to definitely need load balancing to be able to balance the load so that all the traffic does not go to one server, it goes to multiple servers. Make sense?
So it makes sense, but so this elasticity, or is it also part of our services? Or just like a term?
Okay, so it's a term. It's one of those terms that we talked about when we talked about the benefits of Azure. So when you have a computer at home in your house, and then say you have a server that you have in a private company, if there's increased traffic to your server, you have to go out and buy hardware and install it and do all that stuff. So when you're hosting it on the cloud provider manages all of that for you. And if you set it up to be done automatically, then it's known as elasticity.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So that goes again to the three things that we're talking about here, describing the benefits of using Azure Cloud Services. Make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome, good question. So let's go on to the next one. So you are tasked with choosing the most appropriate cloud deployment solution for an enterprise workforce that consists mainly of remote employees. You choose infrastructure as a service solution. What is the most likely business purpose of your cloud solution? So there are two things here. You said your company has mostly remote employees, but you chose infrastructure as a service. So what is the most likely business purpose? Now you can read those A, B, C, and D and let me know, what do you think, A, B, C, or D?
Right. Infrastructure means hardware provided by the cloud.
That's right.
So deploy Azure virtual machines to the company employees.
That sounds about right. Yeah, so you can use that to deploy virtual machines. So you have just your hardware. Infrastructure as a service gives you hardware. You can deploy virtual machines using that. So to ensure applications used by employees are updated as quickly as possible, not necessarily to provide a turnkey solution for email in the cloud, not necessarily to supply on-demand deployment, test, delivery, management, and software applications. That sounds more like platform as a service. Okay, awesome. So next up, your company plans to deploy a web application that does not want to install, or should I say, but does not want to install an operating system or web server, nor manage system updates for the web server. Which of the following cloud services should your company implement? So they don't want to install operating system, they don't want to install a web server, they don't want to manage updates for the web server. So there's FAAS, PAAS, IAAS, SAAS. Software infrastructure platform function. Which one do you think?
Web application does not. They want web application that they are able. They don't want to manage the update for the web application. The web application can be seen as a platform because if it's like a platform, the web application is a platform to work, and they don't want to manage a system, so they can say pass platform as a service.
Platform as a service. That sounds correct. That's very true because infrastructure as a service is just the hardware.
Yeah.
Okay, but if they give them the hardware, they are still going to need to install an operating system and a web server on there. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to install it. So after infrastructure as a service, which is hardware, the next step is platform as a service. Platform as a service already has operating systems set up for you, everything set up for you. They just come in and add their software on top and do what they need to do. So that's the software that they want to deploy, the web application. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So definitely platform as a service for this one. All right, let's try another one. When using a cloud provider, which of the following aspects are the responsibility of the customer organization to secure? So what is your responsibility? The physical sites, the firewall configurations, the hardware infrastructure, or the cloud network? So you as a customer, are you the one in charge of the physical sites?
No.
Nope, so that's out of the question. Are you the one in charge of firewall configurations? Okay, we're not sure about that one. Are you the one in charge of hardware infrastructure?
No,
Definitely not. Are you the one in charge of the cloud networking?
no, no.
No, so definitely firewall. Firewall, you have to be able to set it up because you manage your devices that are going to be connecting on there. You manage your accounts that are going to be going on there. So all the time, regardless of which service type, whether it's private, public, or hybrid, or whether it's which type of model, infrastructure, platform, or software, you are the one that choose which member, which account, which firewall, block this person, block that person, and so on. So firewall configurations are the customer organization's responsibility. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I hope this is all solidifying everything that we have been studying so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So next up, you are migrating a custom web application to Azure. You are responsible for managing the application tools and scaling of the infrastructure beneath the application. You want to use Azure App Services to get a granular insight of performance monitoring. What should you include in your recommendation? So you are in charge of maintaining the application tools and scaling of the infrastructure beneath. You want to do the scaling of the infrastructure beneath the application. So you want to use Azure App Services. It's a service, okay, to get performance monitoring and granular insight. So 3 options: database, infrastructure, platform, or software as a service. Which one do you think?
SaaS.
Software as a service. So that sounds difficult though, because if you're migrating custom web application and you're responsible for managing the application tools and scaling, software as a service means the cloud provider is providing you with the software. But in this case, you have a custom web application. So you already have your software that you're migrating over.
Database.
So what was that? I did not hear.
Database.
Database as a service. Database as a service would mean they're just giving you the back end. But you want to also get insight and performance monitoring. So it cannot be infrastructure, because with infrastructure you're going to have to set a lot of things up yourself. You want to be able to manage application tools and scaling, then it should be platform as a service. Because they have given you all the platform, all you have to do is just migrate your custom software to Azure, and then you can manage your application tools and scaling based on that. So this is one that we have to review. After you make your answer, after submitting, you're going to be able to get a explanation of your answers. Okay? All right, we're almost getting to the end. So next up, your company has a cloud-based application named Market Trends, which is used by the marketing department. Which type of cloud computing model would deliver exactly 3.76 gigabytes of memory to Market Trends application to complete a query task? So we want to find what is going to deliver exact amount of memory to Market Trends. There's infrastructure as a service, function as a service. I'm not sure if this is function as a service, application as a service, and serverless computing. What do you guys think? Tough one, right? So is it possible for us to say infrastructure as a service is going to deliver us a particular amount of memory?
No.
How about platform and fast?
No, I think serverless computing.
Yes, that's definitely serverless computing. Serverless computing has to do with functions, right? So there you can set it up to say, hey, when this action is taken, go ahead and provide this for a particular example or to complete a query task. So again, serverless computing should be the right answer there. So remember, serverless has to do with functions, particular function to execute. Next up, your company is planning on deploying new software applications, deploying new software machines, and implementing Microsoft 365, which we're going to start studying next weekend. Your company plans on using the platform as a service model. So remember how we just talked about that new custom software was platform as a service. This is an example of deploying new software applications, deploying virtual machine, implementing Microsoft 365 on a platform as a service. Now the question is, which of the following are advantages of platform as a service? You have to choose 3. This is an easy one, right? There's only one wrong answer. But one thing I want to point out is it's very easy during the exam to forget that they said choose 3. So always remember, if they said choose 3 answers. Don't choose 2, you're going to lose 1 point. Don't choose 1, you're going to lose 2 points. Okay? So what do you think the 3 answers are? Or which one is not correct?
The second one.
So second one, users do not need to configure servers for running applications. Are you sure?
I think it's step one is not correct.
Yes.
The third one says users have no capital expenses. Are you sure? So what is capital expenses?
Go with the fourth one.
Oh, whoever said the fourth one is correct. The fourth one is correct. This is the only one that is wrong. So the answers should be the first three. This fourth one is incorrect.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously your users can customize their development tools. The users do not need to configure servers and running applications. So remember how we talked about they don't want to have to set up web server and all whatnot. They don't need to create an operating system and so on. Capital expense is the amount of money you spend upfront to buy your hardware. So regardless of any cloud platform that you're using, you don't spend money to buy hardware upfront. Except you have a private cloud or on premises, then you're buying stuff and saving it in your location. So, but it is the reason we say it's not the most flexible cloud model is because there is infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service is the most flexible cloud model because there you just buy your hardware and then you set up everything else. So that's the most flexible. The least flexible is software as a service because the software is provided to you in addition to the operating system and the hardware. Okay. All right, so almost there. Your company has the need to keep services up and running with very little downtime depending on the service. Which cloud feature is needed for this scenario? Very little downtime. So what do you guys think?
Go with fault tolerance.
Fault tolerance. Anybody else?
So, but please, can we about this very little downtime? What is they trying to say?
Okay, so that means very little downtime means your system is always your system does not go down, right? Your system, you cannot try to access your application and it says that your application is not available. So
Okay.
so fault tolerance again would be a good answer, but high availability would be the best answer for this. Okay, because you don't want your customers to be calling you complaining that your system is down. If your system is down, it means your system is not available. So very little downtime means high availability. All right, I think we have about 3 or 2 more. Yep, 3 more to go. Your company has purchased a subscription to Microsoft Azure and it uses a consumption-based model. Which of the following are the benefits of consumption-based model? Choose 3. So again, this is an easy one. There's only one wrong answer. So do we need upfront cost? There's no upfront cost. That's true. Resources that are purchased but not used are credited back. I'm not very sure about that. You pay for additional resources if and when you need them. That's true. There's no need to purchase and manage infrastructure. That's true as well. So we've already gotten 3. We definitely don't get credit back for the things that we don't use. Okay.
Resources that are purchased but not used are credited back.
Yeah, resources that are purchased and not used. You don't buy resources that you don't use. You only pay for what you are using. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. So again, it's like pay as you go, right? When you have to buy minutes to use them. If you buy minutes, you use them or you lose them, right? Pay as you go. All right. Next up, which of the following would most likely use a private cloud? So private cloud, let's choose two answers. Remember again, always pay attention to the number of answers you should choose. So a mid to large size bank, yeah, banks look like they might need private cloud. Local municipal government,
Yeah.
it sounds like they should also have private cloud. Large manufacturer of engines, yeah, not necessarily. They don't have any personal information there. Mid-sized beverage distributor like Heineken, yeah, they don't really need that. So these two sound like they'll need private cloud, bank, financial institution, government institution. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right, which of the following are examples of software as a service? Choose two. Google Compute Engine is not software as a service. Amazon Web Services, Elastic Beanstalk is not software as a service. Google
Yeah.
Apps. Google
Google app
Apps,
is
yep, includes things like Gmail, calendar, even our classroom that we're using is a Google app. Okay. So if you want to see what Google apps are, if you check on your Google and you click this waffle, these are all Google apps. These are all the apps for Google. So those are all accessed over the internet. If there's no internet, you cannot get any of those. So those are services that are provided. Azure is not software as a service, it's actually a cloud provider, just like Google. Salesforce is software as a service. Sounds good?
Yeah.
So let's submit this and see what we get. Now it wants us to check that we are not automatic robots. Okay, select the motorcycle. That's interesting. All right, so the response has been recorded. Let's see how well we did. We missed one. So let's go through and see which one we missed. Our total points is 19 on 20. So after submitting, you should be able to see your answers and feedback. So that's why you need your email to also be in there. It's going to get recorded. So the feedback tells you why is scalability the right answer and the rest are not. And it also has a video that we recorded when we discussed what is scalability. In this case, what did we use? Oh, I see. I talked about, jeez. Your company hosts a website due to web traffic spikes that were caused by ads, which typically run for 3 days. The company has over purchased capacity in advance to running ads for the next month. Which benefit of Azure supports cost management for this type of usage pattern? So this should have been elasticity. Yeah. So the right answer is elasticity, and as it says on here, maybe I should make this bigger. Nope, I cannot make it bigger. That's not good. Anyway, Azure elasticity will allow the website to scale rapidly, commensurate of demand, and could, due to traffic spikes caused by ads. Microsoft Azure could allocate resources when the spike occurs and deallocate these resources when the spike passes. So elasticity feature makes the capabilities of cloud appear unlimited and can be allocated in any quantity for any time length. So yeah, that's the one we missed. But yeah, go ahead. If you've done yours, you can submit it and then you can see what differences it makes. Does this help anyhow in everything that we've talked so far in domain one?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and provide you with another quiz to also check out more practice examples. And these quizzes, right now, I set it up so that you can submit your quiz only one time. But, whenever you want, I'll change the options. So you can see I can go in here and change the options. Let's go to domain one, so that you can submit multiple times. So right now I've set the settings so that you can submit it only one time. So each time you submit, you should have your answers immediately. Okay. Sounds good?
Also,
All right. So what questions do you have?
So this quiz you just done that's the same way you come for the exam.
Yes, very similar. A few things that would be different would be, for instance, we haven't seen some of those questions here. This is the same kind of questions you have in the exam. In some cases, you might have a long discussion before your answer, so just be very patient. When you read, say like this line before your answer, make sure you pay particular attention to the keywords within those questions. In some cases, you need to drag and drop. They can have a list of, let's say, let me see an example here. Okay, they can have all of these four in here, and then they'll have two sections, two areas, one that says true, one that says false. And then they'll tell you drag and drop the right one to the other one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be exactly like this. It's going to be multiple choice, but you get to choose. In some cases, you need to drag and drop, and so on and so forth. So the same with this. If they said, for these four of them, select, drag and drop true or false, and so on and so forth. Or say, okay, highlight the one that is, or pull the one that is right to particular location, and so on. In other cases, you see pictures too. Okay. All right. So what questions do you have?
So with this with after passing this exam, are you qualified? Can you start working on this? Are you qualified to do something that related to this?
Yeah. There are many jobs out there that are going to be asking you some kind of qualification. That's why we need to prepare and get certified. Right. At the end of the day, this would show, it will demonstrate, you put it on your LinkedIn profile and so on. It shows that you know about the cloud and you familiar, comfortable with it. But it is a good stepping block that you can use to get to 104. I have one of my students that actually is studying a cloud computing position right now. But one of the requirements was that they should get the 104 maybe like 3 months after they started. So this already puts you in a good footing, and then you can actually build your way all the way to your goal, which might be solutions architect and so on. Does that answer your question?
Okay, yeah. So after this exams, then we can go in talk for 104.
Yes, that's why I really wanted you to take the exam before we continue with 104, because it's just going to solidify. It's nothing difficult. These are just, these questions, all you need is have a 700 pass mark in the exam. 700, which is like 70%. Well, it's not necessarily 70%, but yeah, in that line.
So after how do you start the exams and how when you take exams, does the result come out early or you have
Yeah,
to?
you get the results instantly, just like how we got the results here. Yeah, but I'll tell you more about the exam also. My goal now is to make sure that get very familiar with answering all these questions,
All right.
understand, or describe what cloud computing is, describe the benefits. As you have seen, different types of questions that have to do with benefits and different types of questions that have to do with the cloud service types. They're not just going to ask you to define it. They'll paint a scenario for you, and then you get to choose which one it is.
All right.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Awesome. All right, so let's take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and work on domain number 2. Sounds good?
Good.
all right.
All right, so I'm going to stop the call and